saying that Larry Holmes attacked him, and look at this, Charles.
Oh, my God!
Larry Holmes with a swan dive off the top rope. Looks like something out of the WWF, and he's attacking Trevor Berbick right there at the valet parking ramp.
From a poor kid in Easton, Pennsylvania, to the man who dethroned Muhammad Ali, Larry Holmes' journey to boxing greatness wasn't always easy. It was about dodging bullets from racist attackers and fighting through poverty. But at 74, Larry is experiencing some health difficulties. In today's video, we will tell you all about his sad life. Growing up in Easton, Pennsylvania, Larry Holmes knew hardship like the back of his glove. One of 12 kids, he dropped out of school at 13 to help feed his family. Holmes worked as a car wash attendant, a dump truck driver, and even tried his hand at steelwork. But fate had other plans for the young man from the streets. At 18, Holmes stepped into a boxing gym and never looked back. He turned pro in 73, but the road to the top was no walk in the park. He sparred with the greats, Ali, Frazier, Shavers, taking his licks and learning the trade. Little did they know, they were shaping the future champ who'd rule the heavyweight division for 7 long years. Holmes may have turned pro in 73, but his real education came in the training camps of boxing legends. The young fighter from Easton found himself trading blows with the likes of Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, and Ernie Shavers. It was a baptism by fire, but Holmes held his own. I was young and I didn't know much, but I was holding my own sparring those guys, Holmes later recalled. These sparring sessions weren't just about throwing punches. They were shaping the future champion, teaching him the tricks of the trade that would make him one of the most formidable heavyweights in history. But as Holmes climbed the ranks, he faced a challenge far tougher than any opponent in the ring: racism. The ugly face of prejudice reared its head time and time again. Before his fight with Jerry Cooney, things took a dark turn. Racists targeted Holmes's family, forcing him to move his wife Diane and their children to a safe house after their home was shot at. The build-up to the Holmes-Cooney fight was a powder keg of racial tension. Promoter Don King, never one to shy away from controversy, marketed the bout as a black versus white race war. It was a dangerous game that put Holmes in the crosshairs of white supremacist groups. Death threats poured in, each one a stark reminder of the hatred Holmes faced simply for the color of his skin. The Las Vegas Police Department took these threats seriously, stationing top marksmen around the ring on fight night. Despite the intense pressure and constant threats, Holmes refused to break. He kept his focus, his eyes on the prize. When the bell rang for his fight with Cooney, Holmes let his fists do the talking. In the 13th round, he sealed the deal, proving his mettle not just as a boxer, but as a man who could stand tall in the face of adversity. These challenges didn't just test Holmes, they forged him. The racial prejudice, the harassment, the constant threats, they all played a part in shaping his boxing style and his ironclad determination. Holmes learned to fight smart, to weather storms both in and out of the ring. He became a boxer who could take a punch and keep coming, a champion who wouldn't be beaten by fists or words. Those sparring sessions with the legends paid off big time for Larry Holmes. He turned into a force of nature in the ring, racking up win after win. But let me tell you, his rise to the top wasn't just about throwing punches. It was a wild ride filled with triumphs, controversies, and more drama than a soap opera. Holmes didn't just win fights, he dominated. He stepped into the ring 48 times as a pro and walked out with his hand raised every single time. That's the kind of streak that makes you sit up and take notice. But it wasn't just the numbers that were impressive, it was who he beat. Take his fight with Ken Norton for the WBC championship. That was a war. Holmes had to dig deep, rallying in the 15th round to pull out a split decision win. It was the kind of fight that separates the champs from the chumps. But if you want to talk about dominant, look no further than his bout with Muhammad Ali. October 2nd, 1980, a date that'll live in boxing infamy. Holmes didn't just beat Ali, he schooled him. Every round, every judge's scorecard, it all went Holmes' way. Ali's own trainer threw in the towel after the 10th round. It was like watching a changing of the guard right there in the ring. Then came the Jerry Cooney fight, June 11th, 1982. A date that should have been about boxing, but turned into something much uglier. Don King, never one to shy away from controversy, billed it as black versus white. The racial tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Holmes got death threats. His family was in danger. He had to move them to a secret location after some knuckleheads shot up his mailbox. Holmes said at the time, "Please don't write about it because I'm in enough trouble with this black and white nonsense already." But despite all that pressure, Holmes stepped into the ring and got the job done. TKO in the 13th round. But here's the kicker. After all that ugly buildup, Holmes and Cooney ended up becoming close friends. Talk about a plot twist. Of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing for the Easton assassin. He butted heads with boxing organizations more than once. The WBC wanted him to fight Greg Page, but Holmes had other ideas. He wanted to take on Marvis Frazier. When the WBC refused to sanction the fight, Holmes told them where to stick their title and walked away. Holmes kept on winning, defending his IBF title against all comers. But even the greats have their close calls. His fight against Carl the Truth Williams was a nail-biter. Holmes got the unanimous decision, but it was close, real close. Some folks thought Williams deserved the win. But what was the Easton Assassin up to when he wasn't throwing punches in the ring? Let's step outside the ropes and take a look at Larry Holmes' life beyond boxing. In 1979, Holmes tied the knot with Diane Robinson. Their marriage stood strong through the ups and downs of his career. Together, they raised 2 children. But Holmes' family tree had more branches. He also had 3 daughters from previous relationships. When it came to business, Holmes was as sharp as his left jab. He poured his boxing earnings into his hometown of Easton, Pennsylvania. At one point, he was the town's big-shot employer, with over 200 people on his payroll. His empire included 2 restaurants, a nightclub, a training facility, an office complex, a snack food bar, and even slot machines. Talk about diversifying. But Holmes wasn't just about making money. He put his heart into the community, too. He became a champion for children's health, using his fame to spread an important message. At the Cameron Street Boxing Club in Harrisburg, Holmes spoke to kids about the dangers of taking unnecessary punches. He told them straight up, "My suggestion is not to take punches to try to prove that you tough and you strong. Your body's not made to do that." Now, retirement wasn't a straightforward affair for Holmes. He had more comebacks than a boomerang. In 1988, he came out of retirement to face Mike Tyson for a cool $2.8 million. Iron Mike wasn't in a generous mood. He handed Holmes the only knockout loss of his career in the 4th round. But Holmes wasn't done yet. In 1992, he pulled off a surprise win against Ray Mercer. That victory earned him a shot at Evander Holyfield for the undisputed World Heavyweight Championship. Holmes gave it his all, but Holyfield took the win by unanimous decision. Holmes's final curtain call came in 2002 against Eric Butterbean Esch. The Easton Assassin went out on a high note, winning by unanimous decision. It was a fitting end to a career that had seen it all: triumph, controversy, and an unwavering spirit that refused to stay down for the count. From sparring partner to heavyweight king, Larry Holmes' journey was one for the history books. But where does the Easton Assassin stand among boxing's immortals? At 74, Holmes' legacy is secure, but his health tells a different story. The man who once danced around the ring now faces a tougher opponent, time itself. Holmes' rise from poverty to the pinnacle of boxing is the stuff of legend. He held the heavyweight crown for 7 years, defended his title 20 times, and even stopped the great Muhammad Ali. But greatness comes at a price. Today, Holmes struggles with the long-term effects of his battles in the ring. "Please don't write about it because I'm in enough trouble with this black and white nonsense already," Holmes once said about his challenges. Now, those words take on a new meaning as he grapples with the physical toll of his career. The price of greatness in boxing, sometimes it's paid long after the final bell.